I think it's important that every student knows before they come what they will receive when they're here. So we make a promise to them before they get here, that they understand that they will not just be taking courses and being trained in certain disciplines and leaving the school with certain skills, but that they will be transformed while they're here to think differently and to live differently and to relate to the world differently than they could ever have imagined before they came.
What have I done? I ate that much. I ran that far, and I am still small.
But Sam did not give up. No, not Sam.
My name is Fabiola Leon, and I'm a first grade teacher at McCall Elementary in Plano, Texas. Exceptional will definitely be a good word for the education program at ACU.
Okay.
I've actually encouraged my sister and her friends. They've actually wanted to go into teaching, and I recommended ACU right away, and I said it was exceptional, not only curriculum-wise, but with the people. I just think that everyone that you meet there is an exceptional person.
I hear again and again from our grads that their principals who hire them say that they have skills in the first year that many five-year veterans don't have. They value the kind of students we send out. Our students are students of character. They are students who see this as mission, as ministry, and principals even in the public school are drawn to that. They know that our students are going to be teachers of integrity.
How did you know 11 and a half was bigger than 11? It's a half more. Very good.
We all know that in education, test scores don't tell the whole story. However, in order to teach in Texas and really anywhere in the United States, a teacher candidate has to pass a certification exam. When you look at the stats on test performance across the state, we outperform folks like Texas A&M, Baylor, Texas Tech. When you look at all of those statistics, our students are very well prepared and they're very competitive.
The one thing I tell students when they're considering the physics program at ACU is that we're the best physics program in the world for undergraduates. And it sounds like I'm bragging, and the reason I do it is because I believe it's true. They can come here and learn in the classrooms in a small environment. They can work with professors at a variety of national labs on world-class projects, and all the time remembering what's most important in keeping God in their lives. Since the beginning of the physics department at ACU, research has been an integral part of our students' education. And for 30 years, we've had a nuclear physics group that's done work at national labs, and we've worked at Los Alamos National Lab and Fermi Lab and CBAF and Brookhaven National Laboratory, and even labs in Europe and Russia. The Phoenix collaboration at Brookhaven National Laboratory has 70 institutions from all over the world, and some of them you of course have heard of before, like Columbia, University of Illinois, Georgia State, University of Colorado, and the list goes on and on. And while there's 600 physicists working on the project, there will be only a handful of undergraduate students, and they'll all be from ACU.
One of the things that's exceptional about the College of Business Administration is a unique opportunity for global leadership development. We are passionate about taking the world and bringing it to the ACU campus, and we're passionate about taking our kids to the world. An example is our Leadership Summit that we've run for 11 years. We've graduated over 1,000 students and probably had 40 to 50 national leaders in the mountains of Colorado with our students, talking to them about God's call to leadership. Our students are able to sort of find themselves and center themselves and what it means to be a Christian who adds value in today's global marketplace. Another fantastic opportunity for our students is our Global Apprentice program, where we take 30 to 40 business students each summer to Oxford, England, to engage as consultants with real companies such as Oxfam International, AC Nielsen, Hart Hanks, and we put our students in a consulting engagement like they were MBA students, and they actually have to scope the problem and create deliverables at the end of the process for the client, real time.
The JMC department here is exactly the right size to be very innovative. We are large enough to have enough students to do exciting, creative things, and we have great, exciting, creative students. But we are small enough that when the campus makes a commitment to mobile learning, we can say, wow, this gives us a chance to talk about mobile media and to adapt the Optimist to the iPhone, and to teach students that in the future, people are going to be receiving their media information, news information, entertainment information, not even off their computer screen anymore, but off of their phone, off of a mobile device. And so for us, it's not just about learning as a mobile tool, but also it's about using mobile tool to deliver media. I think that's just an example of the kind of innovation that goes on here.
The ACU Mobile Learning Initiative began a year and a half ago now as we watched the introduction of the iPhone at Macworld and sat around a conference room with a group of faculty and were just astonished by this next wave of devices. What will universities look like when suddenly the student body has computers in their pocket? So we began giving ourselves permission to dream a bit. And the initiative now is the outgrowth of some of those conversations and that vision. We are seeing a growing number of faculty introducing media to support learning in audio pieces and video pieces that help extend the classroom. Jonathan Stewart has been a great example of developing content in kind of a radio disc jockey style. Stulinium Radio, this podcast series, captures additional topics that he could never get to in the class period. He says, rather subversively, that it's helping him introduce additional class periods into the semester without the students knowing it.
One of the key goals of our mobile learning initiative is to tap into each student's innate abilities. We want to transform the shape of the classroom from that factory model where everybody sits sort of in ranks and observes and consumes to a model of engagement where each student becomes a resource in the class. And those resources are really distinct and diverse. So it's hard, with a sort of standard textbook, which is static and which is uniform. It's hard to encourage that sort of diversity, right? But with a little tiny device, fits in my pocket, that has access to the whole world's knowledge, to databases at libraries, to media files from all across the world, to things like YouTube and Flickr, where people are putting up their own images. When I give students access to that, I give them a possibility for discovery that didn't exist in the classroom before. With iPhones, with this little device, with iPod Touches, with these new mobile media devices, I can say to my students, I want you to go out and find me 3 examples of a gender construction. And instead of me being the centerpiece in that classroom, now each student has discovered something that that student can bring to the class. And I, as a teacher, am no longer the disseminator of information. I'm now someone who helps the students to assess the information they're discovering on their own. I think that's really critical. I think that's an important change. We have people from more than 50 schools in 5 countries who are coming here to ACU to see what we're doing and to learn from us and to learn from what we've discovered. That seems unusual to some people, but it's not unusual to those of us who know ACU and who've worked here for a long time. We recognize that that's just what we've been doing for the last several decades. That's who we've been for a long time. And so we're excited that people are finally noticing us. That's not really the reason we've done any of this, but it's justification of the culture that ACU has had, the culture of innovation, the culture of quality that we've had for a long time.
I think our goal in equipping students to make a real difference in the world is for us to help them understand what does it mean to have a lifestyle of impact, of an influence in someone else's life. And as we get to know our students and their strengths, their interests, that's where we have an opportunity to walk alongside them as partners in their learning and to help propel them toward those particular goals.
Authentic spiritual growth has to do with the transformation of who they are. They understand how they should live, not because they have been told what to do, but because they know who they are. One of the ways that we think our students will gain that kind of mature spirituality is by getting off campus and out into the world. We want them to engage this complex and diverse world that embodies a lot of different perspectives that may be different than our own. And out there, they are able then to see how the message of Jesus that they gain here lives and breathes and has real and dramatic impact on the world.
I hope that our students, upon graduation, I truly hope that they have a stronger understanding of themselves. I think what I enjoy the most as you watch students walk together, robed, and as they stand and sit together, there's a sense of almost an unspoken community. They celebrate the time they've had together, but they know that they do not leave this place alone. They are leaving with the host of other peers and students of which they've shared time, and now they're being called to go and make a difference.
We hope students begin to see some of the things that we promised them from the first time they set foot on campus. But certainly by the time they graduate, it should be a reality in their lives. That's when our mission is accomplished. Commencement is a marker event in their lives. It sometimes feels like old hat to us because it happens 3 times a year, but it's special to them. Last May, the president of Madagascar came to Abilene, Texas, to see his 24 students graduate and prepare to go back home and make the kind of difference that we want them to make in the world. And through the generosity of some donors, they made it possible for us to take commencement back home for them to Madagascar so that their friends and their family, the government, the media, could see what this place was like where they had spent the last 4 years of their lives.
You don't get to Madagascar by accident. It's 10,000 miles and 23 hours of back-to-back-to-back flights from Abilene. And once you get to Paris, France, you're only about halfway to Antananarivo, the capital city. Our travel party of 24 AC representatives landed at the airport late one Sunday night, which was good, but without most of our luggage, which was not so good. And as it turned out, we wouldn't see our bags and a change of clothes for another 3 days. A large group of Malagasy students met us at our hotel, and the visiting lasted into the early morning hours on Monday. We had a busy week ahead: sightseeing, shopping, interviews with national media, tours, time to spend with families of our graduates. Dale Voss's dream was to meet the family of Adola and to sing with them in their language the songs he had spent the last 4 years trying to learn. But the main focus was turning a hotel ballroom halfway around the world into a miniature Moody Coliseum for commencement on Saturday. The beginning of this story really goes back to 2003, when John Tyson met Malagasy President Mark Ravalomanana on a business trip to Madagascar. He decided ACU was the perfect place to send 24 of the top students in his country for a Christian higher education. So he began the Madagascar Presidential Scholars program, with the World Bank helping finance scholarships to help jumpstart the nation's economic development plan. Madagascar would need talented, well-educated young people to return home to work in the government or other key roles in society after graduation. It was innovative, it involved ACU, and it made headlines around the world.
President Ravalomanana is perhaps a little unusual as a president in the African region of the world because he is both a Christian and a very successful businessman. And he was both of those well before he became president. It does seem to me that his faith truly guides his decision-making. And I think that's a tremendous encouragement. There is a sense of vision to help lift up the people in that country, to help them have a better way of life. Not necessarily an extravagant way of life, but a better way of life. To improve their circumstances, to help them to become self-sufficient, to deepen their faith in God as well.
To the Madagascar media, the idea of an American university bringing a major event like this to their country was unheard of. And for about 2 weeks, TV stations ran interviews with administrators and students on the top-rated news and entertainment shows. They also aired several President's Circle films from recent years. Plans were made to broadcast our commencement live to the nation, across all of Africa, and to stream it on the web back to Abilene and the rest of the world. Madagascar is the world's fourth largest island, with 20 million people and some amazing natural resources. 80% of plant and animal life are endemic, which means they're found nowhere else on Earth. It's also one of the world's poorest nations. Most people live on less than $2 a day. They work hard to live off the land. They depend on it, but their best intentions seem to threaten the fragile environment. Antananarivo looks a whole lot different from the 10th floor of the Hotel Carlton than from the streets below, where it's common to see beggars sit and people sell sticks and bicycle fenders and ducks and homemade bricks and cell phones, anything they can to make a living. They wash clothes in any water they can find and lay them out to dry on the grass in the sun. In spite of the economy, these are some of the most gracious, friendly, happy people you will ever meet. They are quick to smile, and they have a genuine enthusiasm for life. And they also love to sing, which explains the musical talent of our own graduates, who spent a lot of time in the States entertaining audiences with songs from back home.
The commencement in Madagascar was more than I ever expected it to be. I knew we were going over there for the students and for their families, but when you have over 600 people pack a really large room and have standing room only, and then you meet these families, and then you see and hear the expressions of their gratitude for the opportunity that their sons and daughters had, and at the same time their pride in their sons and daughters for having accomplished something that was probably beyond their highest dreams could have ever happened.
The ceremony was conducted in English and translated into the Malagasy language, which turned a 90-minute sprint into more like a 3-hour marathon, but nobody seemed to mind.
I remember my father told me one thing as he was walking me, and it was like, I never thought this day would ever come in my life, and I can't believe it's true. And I think that he was really proud, of me, and he was really excited too, but he was very anxious. It's scary when you realize that your dreams do come true.
It really began to soak in when we had the commencement service itself, and I was sitting on the stage with the head of state, the president of Madagascar, and it just hit me all over again. I am privileged to live the mission of ACU. The global outreach is unfolding right before my very eyes.
For hours afterward, the families and friends of graduates stayed to take photos and shake hands and thank every American they could find.
I'll never forget when we went over 4 years before to bring the students to the university for the first time. One of the mothers looked at me with tears streaming down her face and said, "Please, take care of my child." And I said, "We will." When I saw her 4 years later, she was beaming with pride. And I said, "I brought your child back." And she said, "Thank you so much."
And Dale Voss got his wish. The next morning, Sunday, the graduates and parents in our group rode about 50 miles in a motorcade to worship at the Church of Jesus Christ of Madagascar, the congregation the president attends in a village at the top of a mountain where Raval Manata grew up and where he plans to live again once his days in office are over. Afterward, the village mayor took us on a walking tour that weaved around in between the houses. The dirt paths eventually led to an amazing view of the countryside below us. And then it was back in the motorcade for another trip to and a tour of Madagascar's version of the White House, where the president works and he and his family live. From there, we went to a special luncheon in the presidential banquet hall, where the students sang together one last time, and Raval Manata made a heartfelt speech to them and their parents, assuring them of his plans for them. And we said our goodbyes and got ready for the long trip back to heaven.
We certainly took this opportunity. Yeah. Thank you very much, and good trip.
Thank you.
This was a rare opportunity to help shape the lives of people who will go back and have unique opportunities to bless the lives of others. I don't think the real story will be told for another 20 or 30 years. Some of the things that these young people plan to do will take a long time to unfold. And the real influence will be on future generations to come.
I don't think words could even describe how thankful I am, and I'm sure all the other students too, because it has been such a life-changing experience that you can only say thank you through maybe the actions you do and showing that this experience that you had going to ACU was worthwhile and is now impacting the world.
I think that the thing that helped me the most at ACU was the fact that it allowed me to see that I can be a change maker. It was a self-discovery, a self-empowerment experience that taught us, all of us, that we can be a leader in our country and we can make big ideas come to reality.
My main focus now, as I go back, is to try to build a foundation or an organization that would actually give back to the community, like a volunteering center, in order to help people in Madagascar. Because I understand it's not about me anymore, it's about what I can give to others.
It was so great having the Malagasy students on our campus several years ago. We know the difference they're making in their home country, not just because they have gone to change things there, but because they're participating in the change that God is already doing in their own home country. And what is true for them is true for every single student. Every student graduates from here to go back into their own home city, their own home community. They do so with an opportunity to participate in the change that God is bringing to their community, to be partners in the glorious work of God's kingdom.
ACU is a vibrant,
innovative,
Christ-centered community
that engages students,
and authentic spiritual and intellectual growth,
equipping them to make a real difference.
A real difference. To make a real difference in the world.
That's our promise.
We promise.
That's our promise.